Alright guys, welcome along to Hellmouth Hotline. I am your host, Rodney Stewart. Angel, Season 1, Episode 22, to Shanshu in LA. Great ending to the opening season of this series. And, if you've never checked it out, I would recommend it. If you... a lot of people tend to, when it comes to spin-off shows, kind of write them off straight away because it's never going to be as good as the original series. But for me, this series, as much as I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel was something else altogether. Great series. So everything's starting to wrap up as far as the Shanshu Prophecy goes in this episode. Well, there is more further down the line, to be fair. But yes, every little breadcrumb that's been dropped up to this point, we kind of close up in this episode. We open up with Wesley trying to decipher the text of the Scroll of Aberjian, part of the Shanshu Prophecy. He's able to translate a crucial word, Shanshu, as death, which means that Angel is destined to die. And both him and Cordelia, they're worried when Angel appears to take the news casually. Meanwhile, the team learn that despite the recent moral crisis that Lindsay had at Wolfram Hart, he's returned to Wolfram Hart and accepted a promotion. I'm falling over the top of my words. Excuse me, I woke up like 2 minutes ago. We cut over to the Wolfram Hart offices. Lindsay, Layla and Holland Manners are calling forth a warrior of the underworld named Vocah. He's there to perform the raising. Vocah, he's not impressed to learn that the Scroll of Aberjian that he needs is not only gone but is in the hands of their enemy. The enemy that they're intending to destroy with this raising, by the way. Back at the offices as the team plays unwitting host David Nabbit, he shows up one more time. Great little character. He's one of these nerds, the Dungeons and Dragons cosplayer sort of a guy. That, that's weird looking at it now because you see so many people on social media and they're running around doing their cosplay thing. That's the cool thing these days, it seems. But back whenever this show came out, those were the sorts of people that they were just considered nerds and nobody wanted to spend time with them and all that sort of stuff. But it just goes to show you, there was someone said at one point that the world will be taken over by the nerds, and we're starting to see that these days. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, you're going back 25 years plus at this point. So that's funny whenever you see these little bits in the show and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is the guy that's been making it big on the internet in 2026. But he's there. He wants to hunt demons with his cape and a sword. Cordelia has visions that send Angel on his way to help a homeless woman fighting a slime demon. Kate arrives at the scene after Angel has killed it. Kate, been the police woman that discovered his secret recently and lost her father to vampires. So she's not that happy that Angel even exists at this point. She tells Angel she's determined to rid the city of vampires in revenge for his father's death. And there's a part in this episode, I really should have rewatched it before I got into my notes. It's been a couple of weeks since I actually watched the episode as preparation for this podcast. But things happen, you don't get things done. But I think Angel finally snaps at her in this episode, and he's I'm fed up of taking the crap for all the stuff that you can't accept, more or less, and just walks away from her. Wesley and Cordelia, they're discussing how Angel is cut off from life, and they decide that he needs a hobby. Angel enters the office. Cordelia offers to get him something to care about, like a puppy. Angel isn't interested, and Wesley moves to pick up some books to help further decipher the scroll. Wesley decides it should be locked away, and before he leaves, he suggests to Angel, that he consult the oracles, an idea Angel doesn't really support. Meanwhile, the oracles are paid a visit by Vocah, having managed to cross their threshold despite being a creature of darkness. They order him to leave, and he kills him, stone dead. We cut over to an open market on the street. Cordelia, she's trying to find something for Angel for a hobby, and she's looking at art supplies. She speaks with a friendly vendor who gives her what she needs, but as Cordelia is starting to leave, Vocah walks past in the crowd, and he's invisible to absolutely everybody but the viewer, and he's just casually walking through the crowd, and as he walks past her, he brushes the back of his hand against the back of her hand. And although Cordelia feels it, she doesn't think anything of it, because she can't see him either. When she starts to head home, she suddenly is subjected to painful visions. It passes, and as she starts to call for Angel, she brings out her phone, she's about to dial it up. She's then hit by several visions at one time, and these just keep going. They don't end. Cordelia collapses, screaming as the vendor shouts for someone to call 911. Now, this is for Cordelia's character, and you don't see it to the opening episode, really, of season 2, where it really hits home. This is the big turning point for Cordelia's character. Up to this point, she's been the same sort of character that you're used to in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just kind of flaky, materialistic, all that sort of thing. But what happens during this episode has a lasting impression on her. You do get to see it slightly by the end of this episode, but the opening episode of season 2, they do really good justice to the change in her character and the opening moments of episode 1 of season 2, but we'll get to that in due course. So she's down. 911 has been called. She's screaming in the street, which is fantastic acting from her, by the way, in this episode. Class. Back at the basement apartment, Angel locks away the scrolls in his weapon cabinet, not realising that Vocah is also there, hiding in the shadows. Although Angel seems to sense that something's wrong, he doesn't get a chance to check it out. As the phone rings, he gets the call that Cordelia is in hospital. Angel then quickly leaves, and this allows Vocah to emerge and take the scroll from the cabinet. But as he does, he leaves something behind. You hear this little hum, which turns out to be a bomb. So over at the hospital, Angel hears Cordelia screams from a nearby room. He rushes in to see her, and he finds her screaming as doctors explain that Cordelia cannot be sedated, and despite a CAT scan, they can't find anything medically wrong with her. Angel has no notion what to do at this point. He's trapped at this point. So Vocah did say earlier in the episode, he says we're going to cut off his connections, more or less, all support, that's just like, divide and conquer sort of strategy. So Cordelia is out of the picture. She's alive but incapacitated. Back at the office, Wesley returns and he heads down to the weapon cabinet to get the scroll, but he finds something else that causes him to shit himself and turn to run. We cut to the outside of the building. Angel, he pulls up to enter, and the entire building explodes. He manages to get in and finds an injured Wesley and pulls him to safety. Outside, an ambulance takes Wesley to the hospital. Angel's going to follow him, but Kit Lockley shows up again and stops him. And Angel refuses to remain for questioning and tells her that if she wants to be his enemy, he's happy to oblige. The two people that he depends on have now been taken out of the game, and the last thing he needs is this constant barrage of crap from her, because, as I said earlier, I'm fed up of taking the blame for everything you can't handle, more or less. So if you want me to be your enemy, that's alright. Over at the hospital, Wesley is stable but unconscious. After making sure that he's okay, Angel goes to see Cordelia. She's no longer screaming, but she's still suffering from the visions. It's the acting from Cordelia in that point of the episode too is like, she's not screaming, but she's kind of like she's trapped in this. She's trapped in her head, seeing all these visions of people in trouble, and she's just there, and she's kind of just staring at the ceiling, and like tears rolling down her side of her face and all that stuff. And it's very, very good acting from her. I have to say that now. Brilliant in this episode. Angel promises to help her, and at that he notices the symbol in the back of her hand. Of course, the demon left his mark on her to bring these visions on. Sketching it, he decides to visit the oracles and ask for their help. However, when he enters, he finds both have been murdered. A ghost of the female oracle appears and tells Angel that Vocah is the one who killed them, and is also responsible for inflicting Cordelia with the never-end visions. The words to the spell that can save Cordelia are on the Scroll of Aberjian, which is now in Vocah's hands. When asked where he is, the oracle tells Angel that Vocah was summoned for the raising and is hiding behind man's law. Angel realises that Vocah is at Wolfram Hart and taking his scythe. The scythe that Vocah just magically made this scythe appear in his hand, killed these people, and just left it sticking out of one of the bodies. Angel takes it, leaves on a mission to kill him. However, Angel is unwilling to leave his friends unprotected, so he gets in contact with Charles Gunn, sends him to the hospital to keep an eye on them. Over at Wolfram Hart, a large box with 5 vampires chained to it sits in the middle of a crypt. Vocah walks in along with 2 monks. They're chanting. Meanwhile, Holland Manners, Lindsay and Lila are on their way to the crypt, followed by a large truck. Lila reminds Lindsay of the man who disappointed the senior partners, and as a result they made him eat his own liver, meaning that this job is putting Lindsay's life on the line. Angel is watching from a distance and follows him. When they get to the crypt, Vocah starts the ritual as the lawyers arrive. Please excuse me, my words are crap this morning. I should really wake up before I start recording podcasts. So we're in the crypt at this point, leading up towards the end of the episode. Vocah starts the ritual as the lawyers arrive, and halfway through he suddenly pauses, sensing something, and he produces another scythe just before Angel bursts through the windows. As Angel and Vocah engage in fight, Lindsay, unwilling to see his project fail, continues the spell that's required to finish the raising. When it finishes, the 5 vampires surrounding the box suddenly burst into dust, and it's like a tornado going around the box, and one vampire explodes into dust and flies around and circles around the box, the second, third, fourth, until they're all gone. It's just all this dust swirling around the box. Before entering the box and completing the raising, the resulting blast renders Lindsay unconscious, and Holland Manners orders the movers to get the box out, and the lawyers quickly leave. Angel manages to get the better of Vocah and pulls his mask off, revealing a a face that's missing a nose, and there's not much below the mask apart from maggots filling a hole instead of where his nose should be. Angel plunges his knife into the hole in his face, killing Vocah. After this, he confronts the now conscious Lindsay MacDonald, who still has the Scroll of Aberjian. Angel gets at him about his decision to remain at Wolfram Hart. Lindsay tells him that he made a choice to be powerful, and the scroll has foretold that all of Angel's connections to the powers that be will be severed. Lindsay he goes to try to burn the scroll in a fire. When I say the fire, it's like one of the old torches, the handle and just the flame on it, and these are along the wall sort of thing. He goes to burn the scroll to make sure that Angel can't get his connections back. Angel, at the last second, throws the knife, saving the scroll and cutting Lindsay's hand off in the process. Angel tells Lindsay, holding the remainder of his arm in agony, not to believe everything that he's foretold. So we cut over to the hospital and the closing moments of the episode. Wesley, now awake, getting over his burns and scrapes from the explosion. He's reading the words that can save Cordelia as Angel watches on. There's a big flash of light and Cordelia's visions disappear, and she wakes up, much to Angel and Wesley's delight, although she begins to cry once again, having seen so much pain and suffering, and still weak. She tells Angel that she wants to help all the people she saw, and Angel promises that they will. So you get to see that little moment there where she comes out, and she spent the entirety of this episode trapped in her own head with, of course she's the vision getter for Angel. She gets the visions from the powers that be, and her head gets the warning, she gives that to Angel. He goes to save someone, but it's a one and done thing. It's like, boom, there's someone in trouble, go help him. But this one here is like a worldwide thing. Everybody in the world, anybody that was in trouble at that time, she was trapped in her head for the whole episode, seeing it all. So, of course, you're going to come out of that there with a bit of a changed perspective on life. So, later on at Cordelia's apartment, the new base of Angel Investigations, saying as the old place has been blown up, Wesley continues his efforts to decipher the scroll, and Cordelia brings Angel his blood, and suddenly Wesley, in his efforts to find out what exactly Wolfram Hart had raised, finds out he partially mistranslated Shanshu. The word actually means to live and die, indicating Angel will die, but only once he's lived. So Angel's destined to become human at one point, is essentially what the scroll says. And this is after his trials are over, there's coming apocalypses and all that stuff. It's not going to be tomorrow or the day after. It's going to be a long time, but at some point, whenever he's paid his dues to society, more or less, he'll get the chance to become human again, live his life, and die as a human. Despite the fact that it mightn't happen for a long time, Cordelia is ready to break out some champagne. Angel agrees that this is something that they can celebrate. At the end of the episode, we cut over to Wolfram Hart, and Holland tells Lindsay that the senior partners appreciate his sacrifice hasn't gone unnoticed, and they'll get their revenge on Angel with the help of what's in that box. We look over at the box, and Lila, she's cautiously approaching it, whispering inside, "We're all very pleased that you're here. I know it's a bit confusing, but it's going to be better soon. A lot better. Darla." Darla's inside the box. Angel's sire. She's sitting there shaking now. And if you do recall, she was in Buffy, and Angel murdered her ass at one point, which he's the one who turned Angel into a vampire in the first place. So, yeah, and in all fairness, whenever I watched this series the first time around, it completely left my head who Darla was. But, yeah, if you know who she is, it's going to be interesting moving forward that they've brought her back into it. And Julie Benz is great as Darla too. So that is the essentially episode 22 of season 1 to Shanshu in LA. Very, very good episode. One that I really, really did enjoy. And again, like I said earlier on, the Angel series for me, I've watched this more than Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would say, before this podcast, of course, I probably rewatched Buffy the Vampire Slayer probably twice, maybe 3 times. And I'm on my 4th watch of it now for the podcast, of course. But Angel, whenever this series first came out, I was one of these guys, I'm the box set guy. I love sitting down, binging out a show on a box set. And I do have all the original VHS copies of Angel from, let's see, how many is there? I'm not even going to count them. They're on the shelf across from here. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 separate box sets to cover the entire series. Now, these box sets didn't all come out in like full seasons. It was like you would have got a half a season and a free VHS box set, then you would have got the second half and another free, VHS box set. So I watched that. I must be in the double figures on the Angel box sets. The storytelling for me was much more growing up for Angel than it would have been for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was a little bit more, it was just more growing up, I think. Great show. So, I'm looking forward to keeping this podcast going as much as possible, because I have been lazy as shit whenever it comes to actually sitting down, getting something recorded. Absolute friggin' disaster of a podcaster at the moment. But all been well, we'll get back to the 3-day-a-week thing here on Hellmouth Hotline. So Mondays will be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Wednesdays Angel, and then Fridays we're hitting the horror movies. So I've got a few plans for what's coming for the movie watching Fridays on the podcast. But I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Whatever you're doing, stay safe, and I will talk to you in the next episode. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.